This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
She was in chronic pain, and I think it might have been rheumatoid arthritis. And she said, I wish I had cancer.
Oh.
Because then people would believe me and support me.
Right.
Yeah, I know. We do a terrible job of preparing people for what life has in store.
Welcome to How To. I'm Carvell Wallace. I want you to think back to the last time that you were in pain. I mean, some of you could be experiencing pain right now, but if not, do you remember what it felt like? How sharp it was, or how dull it was, or how pervasive or distracting it was? For 50 million adults in the US, that kind of pain, chronic pain, is a reality. So what do you do if that's you? Well, that's what today's listener wants to know.
My name is Mavi, and I am a 50-year-old mother of two. I was working as a special education teacher. I had pretty young children at home. I had worked for this life. I had a master's degree in special education, and very suddenly I became very ill.
Looking back, there were probably signs that Mavi was sick, signs that at the time she attributed to overwork and stress. But then something happened that Mavi couldn't write off.
My feet went completely numb very suddenly, like I was on yard duty at school one day outside with the kids, and noticed I can't feel my feet. And parts of my right arm went numb. And I ignored that for about a week, went to the ER finally, and had a lot of testing. And the ER doctor said, "This looks like MS." So after about 6 months of testing, it was confirmed I had multiple sclerosis, relapsing remitting, which it is a progressive degenerative neurological disease. So relapsing remitting form, you'll go through flare-ups and stages of remission. And my disease was very active, like in the first 5 years. And so I have a lot of damage from those first attacks. You lose one ability after another. It's a continual grieving process.
That initial numbness happened over 15 years ago. And since then, Mavi has been on disability leave in order to prioritize her health. She now spends a lot of time working out. She strength trains, swims a mile 3 days a week, and walks 10,000 steps a day with her walker.
I'm committed to trying to stay as strong as I can. But the thing I'm really struggling and seeking help with is a lot of pain at night from these really, really violent muscle spasms from the waist down. And if I even move at night, if I turn over or scratch my nose, it spasms and it triggers and it's very painful. I've been going through a series of different medications, and I haven't found the one that has really helped yet. But I'm hopeful. I'm still pursuing that. I'm going to physical therapy. I've done acupuncture. I'm open to anything. I don't know that there's like a real fix for this, and I want to prepare myself that this could be my new normal and learn to accept it and still find a path forward.
Generally, we avoid pain. We're afraid of pain. We think of pain as temporary. This is why chronic pain is so frightening to a lot of people. It's like you bonk your head and then you feel bad until it heals, or you stub your toe, and then, but you sort of walk it off or get whatever treatment and it goes away. I imagine that was your experience of pain up until this happened. What has been the emotional and perhaps psychological experience of dealing with this for you?
It is incredibly heavy. Sleep and going to bed was always my favorite thing at the end of a hard day. No matter what I've gotten through in life, it was because I told myself, you know what, by 10 o'clock tonight, you'll be in your PJs in bed and everything's going to be okay. And now going to bed is I dread it because I know it's going to be painful. I'm hoping Toni can help me find a path back to joy and living. I don't want to just exist because right now I'm just trying to survive through this.
So the question for Mavi is, if she can't get rid of her chronic pain, then what? How does a person learn to accept it? Well, that brings us to today's expert. Toni Bernhard is a former law professor who has chronicled her journey and helped others with books like How to Be Sick and How to Live Well with Chronic Pain and Illness.
People think there's chronic pain and chronic illness. And chronic illness has a certain status, but chronic pain is a chronic illness. And most people don't see that.
Absolutely. And everybody always tells me, but you look so great.
Yeah.
You look so great. I get the, you should be glad you don't have cancer. Oh, you look,
my God, I've heard all of
That
those.
is so ugly.
It is. It's hurtful.
Toni's books have been a go-to for years for those experiencing long-term or chronic illness. They are passed around by friends and recommended on support forums as a practical, grounded approach. So when we come back, Toni is going to help Mavi deal with the isolating and often misunderstood nature of chronic pain. Stay with us. Today's episode is sponsored by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Making financial decisions shouldn't feel like trying to pick a place to eat with your friends. Too many choices and everyone has an opinion on what's worth it. One person says, invest in crypto, and another person says, go all in on real estate. Meanwhile, you're just trying to figure out if your credit card's annual fee will ever pay off. Well, that's where the nerds come in. NerdWallet's finance journalists do the research so you don't have to, breaking down the fine print, cutting through misinformation, and giving you real, fact-based insights so you can make smart financial decisions without the group chat chaos. NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast can help you get smarter about using home equity without over-leveraging yourself, and when refinancing actually saves you money and when it doesn't. Want to know if dividend stocks or growth stocks make more sense for you? Listen to the nerds. They also help decipher the real difference between ETFs and mutual funds without the jargon. Make your next financial move with confidence. Follow NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast on your favorite podcast app, and stay tuned until the end of the episode to hear the Smart Money trailer. If you've listened to the How To podcast for a while, then you know how important acceptance is when it comes to personal growth. And do you know who else is big on acceptance? Discover. You see, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That's a whole lot of places and a whole lot of acceptance, which is great for Discover, but even better for you. Based on the 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/creditcard. This episode is brought to you by Defender. Naturally capable and expedition ready, the Defender 110 is a vehicle built for the modern explorer. The Defender is a vehicle that looks tough because it is tough. With an exterior designed for optimum durability, the Defender has the endurance to take you further and tackle the extremes with confidence. Its 3D surround cameras with clear sight ground view let you see underneath the vehicle and anticipate obstacles in rough terrain, while its clear sight rear view provides an unobstructed view behind the car, even when the back window is blocked. Plus, it's not only capable, it's comfortable. The Defender 110 has 5 seats with the option of 7 and features rich materials to ensure your journey is as luxurious as it is exciting. Purpose-built and courage-driven, the Defender is the vehicle you need for your next great adventure. The Defender family also features the 2-door Defender 90, the Defender 110, and the Defender 130, which seats up to 8. Design your Defender 110 at LandRoverUSA.com. Visit LandRoverUSA.com to learn more about the Defender 110. Explore the Defender 110 at LandRoverUSA.com. If you were to go back to 2001, you would have found Toni Bernhard happily teaching law at UC Davis, a job she had held for nearly 20 years. But what she didn't know was that all that was about to change. And it all started with a trip to Paris.
My husband and I went on a vacation and I got sick and I never got better. I had a virus and the virus took away my stamina, my energy. And in the early days, I was in bed all day long. It was really, really hard. I still am pretty much housebound, but I do get around some. And about 10 years after I got sick, I started writing about it.
Toni says there are three components of physical discomfort. The unpleasant physical sensation itself, think pain, aching muscles, and fatigue. Then there's the emotional reaction to that discomfort. So your frustration, your irritation, your fear. And then there's how you think about those two components, meaning the stories that you tell yourself and believe without question. Now, two of the three components originate mentally. If you can learn how to manage the mental components, then you can be better prepared for the physical component. But with all that being said, there's also no shame in seeking out medicine for pain.
There is a tendency for people who have some kind of chronic illness, and I'm including chronic pain. When something new happens, they don't pursue medical help that might be available. And maybe in this case there isn't, but that was my immediate reaction was, have you seen a doctor? You know, my second reaction was that a feeling of helplessness. There's no way I can help you get rid of that pain. I can maybe help you relate to it differently, but I'm just really sorry this is happening. Must be awful.
Thank you
Just
so much.
awful.
I appreciate it, and I know you can relate yourself. How do I lay there in the middle of the night? Everyone is sleeping. My dogs are sleeping, so I can't really get out of bed without causing commotion. How do you lay there in pain and not curse the world? Like everything seems worse in the dark and at night. And so I've, I took my son to see Bob Dylan, and I've been singing Bob Dylan songs to myself at night. And I play crazy word games.
You're a great parent.
Oh, thank you. My 17-year-old is playing guitar and piano, and Dylan is his favorite. And he came to San Diego, and we went and saw him and Willie Nelson 2 weeks ago. It was amazing.
I saw Bob Dylan maybe 60 years ago, so I'm laughing.
Oh, excellent. I love it. I love it so much.
You know, when I think of pain, in addition to chronic pain, I have an acute situation where my left shoulder, and if you've ever had shoulder arthritis, you will know that that means your whole arm. My left arm is so non-functional that I'm having shoulder replacement surgery in 3 weeks.
Oh,
and
so sorry.
I'm in constant pain all the time. And so the pain is that just that condition of being alive. And for one thing, it helps to know that you're not alone in this, that everybody is going to face that. What we tend to do is make things worse by adding on to it things like worry, and I'm just a great worrier.
Me too.
And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I'm part of that club.
Future forecasting, like this pain will be here for the rest of my life. It will always be here. Well, you don't know that. What you know is what you've got now. What we tend to do is add on to it. Like I said, worry, envy. You're a lot more active than I am. I couldn't go to a Bob Dylan concert. My stamina does not allow any kind of travel. And so my granddaughter is about to graduate from high school, and there's going to be a ceremony, and I won't be able to go. And so I used to live in envy.
Yes.
And
yes, I get that.
What I discovered is that envy, it doesn't help me in any way. Just like worry doesn't help.
Absolutely.
Envy doesn't help. Yeah. And so I've learned through practicing Buddhism, which I do as a, not really as a religion, but as a practical path. And I've learned through mindfulness, not just meditating, but just, I've been doing it for so long that I actually don't have a regular meditation practice anymore. I just am mindful in my daily life. And what I do is pay attention. And when I catch myself caught up in worry, I talk to myself silently. Sometimes I even laugh at myself. I'll say, Toni, there you go again, worrying about this surgery when the odds are everything's going to be fine.
Right.
And I think with your situation with the pain, what you're adding to it is a kind of future forecasting about it's always going to be this way. It's always going to be this bad. But that may not be the case. This may very well be a phase of your MS.
Right. I am a doomsday forecaster, like, this is how it's going to always be. And maybe it'll even get worse. So I better prepare myself is where I am at mentally. And
I have a friend who calls himself a just-in-time worrier. And that's my goal. So the morning of the surgery, okay, I can worry.
Right.
So it's been very helpful.
This brings up a question that I think probably some people are going to have, which is that, a lot of what you've written about in your book is basically work that we do mentally in the mind to deal with the problems that we're facing physically. And most of us, especially raised in the West, are taught inherently, deeply, to believe there's a separation between the mind and body. The body is physical, it's material. No mind games are going to help what I do with what I experience physically. Talk to us a little bit about what you have learned about why it can work to change the way one's mind or to practice with one's mind. How does that work to deal with something that is clearly material and physical?
Well, if you think the mind and the body are separate, the next time you feel some strong emotion comes on, notice you feel it in your body. Certain mental practices can even help the body relax. Let me just say, when I first got sick and didn't get better, I did what you did. After taking a semester off, the dean gave me a semester off because I was clearly so sick. I forced myself to go back to work part-time because who gets sick and doesn't get better? Who gets a virus and doesn't get better? It was just, I just thought it was absurd. And the self-blame, the blame that I aimed at myself
Oh,
made
yes.
everything worse. It made
Oh, yes.
everything worse. And there's no value in self-blame, none at all. And what I would hope you can replace it with is self-compassion. That's a word like mindfulness, where it's so commonplace it kind of loses its meaning after a while. So I want to suggest with self-compassion, I'm not talking about it just as, okay, I'll be compassionate to myself.
Right.
This reminds me of a passage from How to Live Well with Chronic Pain and Illness. It goes like this. Many people think it's somehow their fault when they become chronically ill. They see it as a personal failing on their part. We live in a culture that reinforces this view by bombarding us with messages about how if we just eat this food or engage in the exercises, we need never worry about our health. For many years, I thought that the skillful response to my illness was a militant battle against it. All I got for my efforts was mental suffering, on top of the physical suffering I experienced. The pivotal moment for me came when I realized that although I couldn't force my body to get better, I could heal my mind.
Like I said, it's entered the culture in a way that has become meaningless. Oh, just be self-compassionate. Well, how do you do that?
Right.
And yeah. So what I suggest is that you speak to yourself silently or aloud. Come up with phrases that speak directly to what's going on, such as, I'm afraid that this pain is going to be here the rest of my life, but I recognize that I don't know if that's the case. So while it's here, I'm going to be as kind to myself as I can.
Okay.
Just that kind of thing. And, never take sides against yourself. Never,
Okay.
ever.
I need that because I self-chastise a lot. Like, it's always worse in the night, like I said, in the day I'm more positive and hopeful, but something about just laying there for hours in pain is like, your mind goes to the darker corners and it's like, oh, why did you roll over that way? You knew that was going to hurt. And, I do get down. Definitely. I think of that, Charlie Brown, and Charlie Brown used to say, I'm depressed. I think I'm being Charlie Brown.
I do think that it's harder because it's at night. My husband and I have an expression about, 10 o'clock thinking because, and I think it's just that I'm so fatigued.
Yes.
But I find the pain harder to bear as the day goes on, even though it's the same pain I had at 10 in the morning. When it's 10 at night, that's when I start with the stories that make things worse. There's this thing out there in the world about positive thinking. And I'm not an advocate of, it depends how you define it, but of positive thinking in the sense of saying, rah, thinking. Because the fact is, you're in pain and the pain hurts and you're feeling awful.
Yes.
And, it's not the life you want, but it's not what you want at night, but it's what you got.
Right.
And no positive thinking is going to make it go away, but you can ease the mental pain by being kind to yourself.
Okay, So we've gotten a few good pieces of advice. First, a portion of the pain is our stressful emotions and the stories we tell ourselves about the pain. Buddhists sometimes call this the second arrow. Like you've been shot with one arrow, which sucks, and then the second arrow is you going, oh my God, I can't believe I've been shot with this arrow. This is terrible. I'm so unlucky. Why does this always happen to me? Now that second arrow can be avoided through basic mindfulness. You can start to identify those emotions and those stories and get free of them. Then you can choose to be compassionate to yourself. You can remind yourself that pain isn't permanent. You can resist the very understandable temptation to forecast a future where nothing improves. The point is, you actually deserve better than that. One thing I like about this episode so far is that it's more than just advice. It's about our listener, Mavi, connecting with someone who can finally understand what she's going through. And that's what we do here on How To. So if you feel like you too are going through something and you want to connect with someone who understands, why don't you send us a message and tell us about it? You can email us at howto@slate.com or leave us a voicemail at 646-495-4001.
Today's episode is sponsored by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Making financial decisions shouldn't feel like trying to pick a place to eat with friends. Too many choices, and everyone has an opinion on what's worth it. One person says, invest in crypto. Another says, go all in on real estate. Meanwhile, you're just trying to figure out if your credit card's annual fee will ever pay off. That's where the nerds come in. NerdWallet's finance journalists do the research so you don't have to, breaking down the fine print, cutting through misinformation, and giving you real, fact-based insights, so you can make smart financial moves without the group chat chaos. NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast can help you get smarter about using home equity without over-leveraging yourself, and when refinancing actually saves you money and when it doesn't. Want to know if dividend stocks or growth stocks make more sense for you? Listen to the nerds. They also help decipher the real difference between ETFs and mutual funds without the jargon. Make your next financial move with confidence. Follow NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast on your favorite podcast app. And stay tuned until the end of the episode to hear the Smart Money trailer.
If you've listened to the How To podcast for a while, then you know how important acceptance is when it comes to personal growth. And do you know who else is big on acceptance? Discover. You see, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That's a whole lot of places and a whole lot of acceptance, which is great for Discover, but even better for you. Based on the 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/creditcard. We're back with Mavi, who wants to learn how to accept chronic pain, and Toni Bernhard, author of multiple books, including How to Live Well with Chronic Pain and Illness. And in that book, Toni talks about the recipe for peace of mind. It starts with one part stark reality, in other words, the acceptance that our lives are unpredictable. Then you need one part practical skills, like a mindfulness practice where we work every day to cultivate kindness for ourselves and others. And finally, one part humor, which is always good medicine.
The principal teaching for me that I really haven't found other places is equanimity. And what equanimity means is that you're able to stay at an even keel despite the ups and downs that you're going through. And it doesn't mean that you don't feel deep joy at times, but you don't attach to it and say, this is it. This is, I'm going to be like this the rest of my life. Because nobody's happy all the time. And at the same time, when there are the dips and you're feeling really down, you can say to yourself, this is a time that's really hard for me. I'm feeling really down. And so being equanimous is simply a matter of accepting how you are right at this moment, right at this very moment. And for me, that's peace, the feeling of peacefulness that I seek, to be able to say, my arm is hurting, I'm sitting comfortably on the bed, talking to two lovely people. Life is good. It's that balance between accepting the fact that right at this moment, there's a combination of difficulties, and it's balanced by some lovely things.
But again, it's difficult to get to this place of balance when all you can focus on is pain.
So like in the night, I'm laying there, I'm hurting. I try and go through that where you check in with your body. You know, I start with the toes and those feel okay, and the ankle. And
that's a great thing to do, because when we're in pain, it feels like our whole body's in pain. Right. But you can always find some places on your body that aren't in pain. I think there's a term for that, sensory splitting or something, where you look for places that aren't in pain and just allow your mind to rest there and maybe appreciate it, or you don't have to appreciate it. You can just let your mind rest there and then look for another part of your body that's not in pain. And so I think that's a wonderful practice that you've got there.
There are a handful of mindfulness practices to help us refocus the pain. The first is doing a body scan, like Mavi mentioned. You can also do what Toni just suggested, where you reset your attention on a symptom-free part of your body. You can also do the opposite, where you actively focus on the physical discomfort and pay attention to the sensations. Toni has written about other techniques too. You can focus on your breath to keep your mind from wandering. You can use imagery to transport yourself to another, more pleasant space. You can focus on something more interesting within your field of awareness. You can neutrally describe what is happening in your life at the moment. All of this can help you address physical discomfort in the body. But you can also just straight up distract yourself.
I'm a fan of distraction when it's appropriate.
Singing the Bob Dylan isn't the worst idea.
No. People will say, oh, well, you're just distracting yourself. Well, I am. Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly
What's
what
wrong
I'm
with
doing.
that? Yeah.
I'm distracting myself. To me, it's a form of self-compassion. All compassion means is taking care of yourself. And it also means being nice to yourself. If you're blaming yourself in any way, that's not being nice. Mm-hmm. If you're comparing yourself to what others can do that you can't do, that's not being nice. You know, my husband's a great sleeper. He'll sleep 9 hours at night. I'm lucky if I sleep 6. And so if I don't do this, but I could see someone being envious of that or blaming themselves because they can't get more sleep, that's not being nice to yourself. So ask, am I being nice to myself? That's the test of self-compassion.
I try and do that thing where it's like, talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. If you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't say it to yourself. And
absolutely. That's
mostly
great.
I do okay, but in the dark of night, it sets in. But
no, I know. And you have something really difficult going on right now.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it feels like that. It feels like a betrayal, like my own body has turned on me in every way.
No.
You know?
You know what your body is? It's doing the exact opposite of turning on you.
I need to look at it that way.
MS happens.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens. And what your body is doing is not betraying you. It's doing its best to support you. And that's, another self-compassion phrase, even in the midst of pain, to say to yourself, this is one of my phrases, my sweet body working so hard to support me. And sometimes when I do that, I will sometimes just run my hand gently up and down my arm as I say, nice things to myself.
I like that. I like that one. Thank you.
Yeah. It sounds like you have a lot of, I like to call it tools in your toolkit already.
It's just the fact of using them or not using them, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't always access them.
It might take time each night because when that pain comes on, you're just going to go, oh, no.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's going to be, you're going to go through that, almost that grieving.
Yes. I like what you said earlier about like the pain is going to be the pain, but let me not make it worse with my thoughts.
The thoughts often take the form of elaborate stories that we tell ourselves. It's always going to be like this. I'm never going to find it.
Yes,
and, we just don't know. So just be with the day you've got and make the best of it. I'm just so sorry about what's happening at night. And I hope it's temporary or that it will lessen enough that you can sleep better. I like that you're experimenting with different medications.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really, really have taken all of your pearls of wisdom as heartfelt blessings. And you can think of me if you're up tonight at midnight. I'll be thinking of you.
Okay, we'll think of each other.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing a great job already.
Thank you.
It just feels as if a lot that you already have tools that are helping you take good care of yourself despite what's happening. And I'm just so sorry about the pain.
Oh, thank you. And for you too, I hope that the surgery actually is smooth, easy, helpful, and pain relieving. I will
Thank you so
manifest
much.
that for you. You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time today. It was really, really helpful.
It's been just wonderful to meet you.
Thanks to Mavi for coming to us with her question. And thanks to Toni for all of her useful advice. We'll be sure to link to her books and her blog in the show notes. Are you in a painful situation that you need help addressing? If so, send us a note at howto@slate.com or leave us a voicemail at 646-495-4001 and we might have you on the show. And if you like what you heard today, please give us a rating and a review and tell a friend, because that helps us help more people. How To is produced by Rosemary Belson with Kevin Bendis. Joel Meyer is our supervising producer. Merritt Jacob is senior technical director and composed our theme music. Charles Duhigg created the show. Courtney Martin is my co-host, and I'm Carvell Wallace. Thanks for listening.
Today's episode is sponsored by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Money can be confusing. Should you invest in ETFs, get a travel rewards credit card, buy a house, or just build a really fancy pillow fort.
That could work. No shame in pillow fort game. Or you could just tune in for clear, research-backed financial insights.
I'm Sean Piles, a certified financial planner professional.
And I'm Elizabeth Ayola. We're the hosts of NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast, where you bring the money questions and we bring trustworthy information backed by NerdWallet's expert analysis, without the jargon or the sales pitch.
Our nerds do the research so you don't have to. We'll help you understand your options so you can make the best decision for your situation, from optimizing your investments and maximizing credit card rewards to making big money moves with confidence.
Plus, we keep it real. No lectures, no judgment. Just tips and tools you can use to build wealth and take control of your finances. Think of us as your financial GPS, helping you navigate your money decisions and avoid expensive wrong turns.
Whether you're planning for retirement, weighing a big purchase, or just want to make your money work harder for you, we've got insights that you can use in real life.
So, if you want practical, straightforward, and actually useful financial knowledge, plus a little bit of fun along the way, follow NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Trust us, future you will thank you. Today's episode is sponsored by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Money can be confusing. Should you invest in ETFs, get a travel rewards credit card, buy a house, or just build a really fancy pillow fort?
That could work. No shame in pillow fort game. Or you could just tune in for clear, research-backed financial insights.
I'm Sean Piles, a certified financial planner professional.
And I'm Elizabeth Ayola. We're the hosts of NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast, where you bring the money questions and we bring trustworthy information backed by NerdWallet's expert analysis, without the jargon or the sales pitch.
Our nerds do the research so you don't have to. We'll help you understand your options so you can make the best decision for your situation, from optimizing your investments and maximizing credit card rewards to making big money moves with confidence.
Plus, we keep it real. No lectures, no judgment. Just tips and tools you can use to build wealth and take control of your finances. Think of us as your financial GPS, helping you navigate your money decisions and avoid expensive wrong turns.
Whether you're planning for retirement, weighing a big purchase, or just want to make your money work harder for you, we've got insights that you can use in real life.
So, if you want practical, straightforward, and actually useful financial knowledge, plus a little bit of fun along the way, follow NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Trust us, future you will thank you.